Hello, welcome to today's edition of the Civil Service video presentation. We're going to look at CBT question and answer from the Public Service Rule, and we will be looking at 50 practical questions and answers. This is the sixth series of this video presentation from the Public Service Rule. If you haven't seen the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth series, then check the description section of this video for the playlist. Today, we are going to consider 50 different questions from the Public Service Rule. Learning via virtual can help you remember these questions. And if you have any issue with any of these questions, feel free to throw your issues in the comment section. And whatever comment you put are so much valuable to us and will make good use of them. Without wasting much time, let's look at the first question we'll be looking at today. We'll be looking at some introduction in the revised Public Service Rule, PSR, and we'll be considering the first question. The first question says, which expense has been increased under the new Public Service Rule? Is it A, house rent for retirees, B, medical allowances, C, burial expenses for officers who died in active service, or D, Christmas bonus? The right option is option C, which is burial expenses for officers who died in active service. Question number 2. Disciplinary procedures for offences against state security are now A, considered casual offences, B, separated from general misconduct in the PSR, C, treated like lateness, D, handled by external consultants. The right option is option B, and option B says such offences are now separated from general misconduct in the Public Service Rule. So we don't have such misconduct as offences against the state security combined with the general misconduct, general offences that are considered misconduct or gross misconduct. Question number 3. Which of the following is now given its own dedicated chapter in the revised PSR? A, vacation, B, training, C, job rotation, and D, vehicle maintenance. The right option is option B. The training is now given its own dedicated chapter in the Public Service Rule. Question number 4. The revised Public Service Rule now prescribes disciplinary procedures for A, drivers only, B, political appointees, C, local contractors, and D, erring permanent secretaries. The right option is erring permanent secretary, option D, and this was not found in the previous PSR that was reversed. Now, we now have some disciplinary procedures for permanent secretaries who are erring. Question number 5. Which new type of employment has been introduced in the Public Service Rule? A, internship employment, B, sabbatical and short-term appointment, C, voluntary schemes, and D, monthly contracts. The right option is option B, which is sabbatical and short-term appointment. This has been introduced in the revised Public Service Rule. Question number 6. Performance appraisal will now be guided by A, staff popularity, B, number of years served, C, performance management system, and D, type of degree held. The right option is option C, performance management system. Question number 7. What is the purpose of the FCSC 2025? A, to reduce work hour, B, to institutionalize recognition and reward, C. To promote party loyalty, and D. To provide food allowance. The right option is option B, because option B says the PSR is to institutionalize recognition and reward, and that is why recognition and reward has much recognition or has a pillar in the FCSC 2025. Now let's look at question number 8. The calculation of annual leave is now based on A. State of residence, B. Age of officer, C. Number of working days, and D. Travel history. The right option is option C. Numbers of working days. And it all depends on the staff, it all depends on your grade level. Question number 9. Increased burial expenses apply to A. Officers who died in active service, B. Retirees, C. Spouses of officers, and D. Pension board. The right option is option A. Officers who died in active service. Question number 10. What replaces the old APER system? A. Supervisory feedback, B. Performance management system, C. Staff audit, and D. External scoring. The right option is B, which is performance management system. Question number 11 says, how are serious misconduct and national security offences now handled? A. They are merged into one category. B. They are separated in disciplinary procedures. C. Refers to the Senate, and D. Through oath taking. The right option is option B, that disciplinary serious misconduct and national security offences are now separated in disciplinary procedures. Question number 12. Who benefits from the new sabbatical and short-term appointment policies? A. Experts engaged for limited projects, B. Drivers, C. Local vigilante, and D. Public school students. The right option is option A, which is experts engaged for limited projects. Question number 13. Recognition and reward system in the PSR are now based on ethics representation, ethnic representation, B. Performance and contributions, C. Lobbying, and D. Gender. The right option is option B, which is performance and your contribution to the service will determine how much you'll be rewarded or recognized according to the revised PS. Question number 14. Which of the following reform promotes digital interaction in the workplace? A. Increase in allowances, B. E-governance, C. Printing more circulars, and D. Posting of memos physically. The right option is option B, which is the e-governance. Question number 15. What is one major change to the management of training in the PSR? It has been given a full chapter, it was removed, C. It is now optional, and D. Only for junior staff. The right option is option A. It has been given a full chapter. Question number 16. Who now has a formal disciplinary framework under the new PSR? A. Permanent secretary, B. Interns, C. External contractors, D. Empower staff. The right option is option A, which is the permanent secretaries. Now let's consider eligibility criteria for appointment in the Federal Civil Service. Question 17. What is the minimum age required to be eligible for permanent appointment in the Federal Civil Service? Permanent appointment in the Federal Civil Service. Is it A, 16 years, B, 18 years, C, 21 years, and D, 25 years? The right option is option B, which is what? Which is 18 years. It might surprise you that questions that might come from PSR might be as easy as this if you prepare very well. Question number 18 says, what is the maximum age allowed for appointment into the Federal Civil Service? A, 50 years, B, 60 years, C, 55 years, and D, no limit. And as easy as this question may be, some persons in the exam hall under exam tension might not get the option right. So which is the right option? The right option is A, which is the maximum age allowed for appointment into the civil service, 50 years. The minimum is 18 years and the maximum is 50 years. Question number 19. To be eligible for appointment into the Federal Civil Service, an applicant must be introduced by a senator, must have applied for the job as advertised, must be married to a civil servant, must live in the Federal Capital Territory. The right option is option B. He must have applied for the job as advertised. Question number 20. For appointment into the Federal Civil Service, the valid certificate of state of origin must be signed by A, a relative in the village, B, chairman or secretary of the applicant local government, C, traditional ruler, and D, the Federal High Court. Now look at this question very well. That is the valid certificate of state of origin, which will be submitted for your appointment into the Federal Civil Service. It must be signed by B, the chairman or secretary of your local government. Question number 21. Which health-related document must an applicant for a civil service job present? A, birth certificate, B, blood donation record, C, certificate of medical fitness from a certified healthcare provider, and D, medical fitness card. The right option is option C. This is one of the criteria you present when applying for a Federal Civil Service job. Question number 22. For appointment into the Federal Civil Service, good conduct must be attested by a religious body, B, family friend, C, school or former employer through a testimonial, and D, political party. The right option is option C. Your former school or your former employee must testify that you are of good character. Question number 23. To be appointed into the Federal Civil Service, the applicant must possess A, only NYSC certificate, B, a minimum educational qualification as required, C, a master degree qualification, and D, a first degree qualification. The right option is option B, a minimum educational qualification as what? As required. To be appointed into the Federal Civil Service, the applicant must have a minimum educational qualification as required by the job. It is as required by the job opening that is advertised. So a minimum educational qualification as required is the right option. They are not specific here. We cannot say it's the first degree qualification or a master degree qualification, because if it is a job for Level 8 that is being advertised, you don't need a first degree, or level 7, you don't need a first degree. You can easily get the minimum, you'll be required to bring the minimum educational qualification as required, and that is the right option. And if you are going for a higher job, like a job for level 12 or 13, then you might be required to submit a higher degree qualification. So it should be a minimum educational qualification as required by the job opening. Take note of that. Question number 24. Which of the following must be clearly stated by the applicant regarding criminal offences? A. Whether or not they have been convicted without prior FCSC approval. B. Whether they know any criminals. C. Whether their family has been arrested. And D. None of the above. The right option is option A, whether or not they have been convicted without prior FCSC approval. Question number 25. What employment detail must be disclosed by the applicant for appointment into the Federal Civil Service? A. Family business. B. Detail of personal business. C. Record of previous employment and reasons for leaving. And D. Bank statement. The right option is option C, record of previous employment and reason for leaving. Question number 26. Who verifies the certificate of origin during recruitment into the Federal Civil Service? Certificate of origin. A. The Federal Minister of the Ministry of Finance. B. The recruiting officer in line with public service rule. C. The applicant's neighbor. And D. His or her current employer. The right option is option B. The recruiting officer, in line with the public service rule, will have to verify the certificate of origin. Question number 27. The age and nationality requirement for appointment into the Federal Civil Service is backed by A. Local government bylaws, B. Senate committee policy, C. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and D. Government official gazette. It is C. It is backed up by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that law talks about the age, the minimum and maximum age of requirement for appointment, and the nationality requirement for appointment into the Federal Civil Service. Question number 28. In accordance with Federal Civil Service Commission standards, the eligibility criteria for appointment into the Federal Civil Service are aimed at ensuring quality, integrity, and compliance. B. Increase bureaucracy. C. Favor certain ethnic group. And D. Limit access to youth. The right option is option A. Ensuring quality, integrity, and compliance. Now let's look at the performance management system progress report on officers on probation. Question number 29. What is the primary purpose of progress report for officers on probation? That is, officers that are employed on permanent appointments on probation. Pupillage. A. To determine eligibility for promotion. B. To assess suitability for confirmation or re-engagement. B. To identify training needs. And C. To assign new roles. The right option is option B. To assess suitability for confirmation or re-engagement. Question number 30. How often are permanent secretaries or head of extra-ministerial offices responsible for rendering progress reports? A. Annually. B. Quarterly. C, at interval of 6 months, and D, biannually. The right option is option C, at interval of 6 months. They have to be responsible for rendering progress report at interval of 6 months. Question number 31. What is the maximum period within which the final progress report should be rendered after the first appointment? A, 1 month, B, 2 months, C, 3 months, and D, 6 months. The right option is option B, which is what? Which is 2 months. Question number 32. If an officer probationary period is due to expire when they are on leave, when should the final progress report be rendered? A, before proceeding on leave, B, immediately upon resumption from leave, C, 1 month after resumption, and D, it can be delayed indefinitely. The right option is option A, before proceeding on leave. Question number 33. Who is responsible for addressing progress reports to the Permanent Secretary, Federal Civil Service Commission, or the Permanent Secretary, Career Management Office? A, the head of department, B, the reporting officer, C, the permanent secretary or head of extraministerial offices, and D, the officer on probation. The right option is the permanent secretaries or heads of extra ministerial offices. Question number 37 and above is we've discussed on performance management system for serving officer. Question 34. What does PMS stand for in the context of the public service rule? Take note of this question. People easily miss out or will miss getting the right option because everything is PMS. Everything is PMS. A, is it public management system? B, is it performance monitoring system? C, is it performance management system? Or D, is it personnel management system? When you hear PMS, many persons under exam condition, anxiety, might decide to just pick B, performance monitoring system. But the right option is option B. Always remember that it is management. So it is performance management system. Now let's look at question number 35. What is the primary tool for individual performance tracking and assessment in the federal public service? A, annual confidential report, B, performance management system, C, appraisal form, and D, monthly activity report. So which is the right option? Remember the question. The question says, what is the primary tool for individual performance tracking and assessment in the federal public service? Now look at this option very well. What tool is the primary tool for individual performance tracking and assessment in the federal public service? Now we have performance management system. Inside the performance management system, we have the appraisal and we have monthly activity report or monthly appraisal form. So which is the right option? We have the right option as option B because inside option B we have C and we have D. So the right option is option B. Question number 36. Who is primarily responsible for detailing and candidly reporting on officers' capabilities and overall performance? A, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, B, permanent secretary or head of extraministerial office, C, reporting officer, and D, the accounting officer. The right option is option C, reporting officer. Question on number 37 says, if a reporting officer is below one substantive grade above the officer being reported on, who should prepare the reports? A, the head of the department. B, the next senior officer directly above the reporting officer. C, the permanent secretary. And D, the head of the civil service of the federation. Now the right option is option B, and option B says the next senior officer directly reporting above the next senior officer directly above the reporting officer, option B. Question number 38. What action should be taken if there is any advance comment on an officer's work or conduct included in a report? A, the officer should be immediately dismissed. B, the officer must be given code, a copy of the comment and acknowledge receipt. C, the comment should be removed from the report. And D, the officer should be transferred to another department. The right option is option B. The officer must be given a copy of the comment and acknowledgement receipt. Question number 37. Question number 39 is taken from the annual performance management timeline. Now, this question number 39 says, when does the annual performance management cycle typically run? Is it A, January to December of every year? B, April to March of the following year? C, June to July of the following year? Or D, October to September of the following year? So the right option is option A, which is January to December of every year. Question paragraph 40. Number 40. Who is responsible for finalizing the annual institutional and departmental goals and targets? A, the head of civil service of the federation. B, we have the Department of Human Resources Management. C, each MDA. And D, the permanent secretary. So the right option is option C. And option C says each MDA. Each MDA is responsible for finalizing the annual institutional and departmental goals and targets. Now let's look at question number 41. Question number 41 says, question number 41. Question number 41. Let's look at question number 41. Question number 41 says, oh, it has taken us back. So let's look at question number 41. Question number 41, we're going to look at question number 41. In question number 41, the question says, what are key performance indicators KPI used for in the performance management cycle? The last question we treated is answer C, option C, the MDA. Question number 41 says, what are key performance indicators used for in the performance management cycle? A, to determine salary increments. B, to measure how a staff has performed within a calendar year. C, to identify training needs. And D, to track attendance. The KPIs under the performance management cycle, what is its main function? What is it used for? Is it to determine salary increment, to measure how a staff has performed within a calendar year, to identify training need, or to track attendance? The right option is option B, to measure how a staff has performed within a calendar year. Question number 42. When should the final appraisal be done? The final appraisal should be done A, at the end of January of the following year, B, end of February of the following year, C, end of March of the following year, and D, end of December of the following year. The right option is option A, which is the end of January of the following year. That is when the final approval or appraisal will be done for the previous year. Question number 43. What is the primary purpose of the employee performance results in the performance management cycle? Employee performance results (EPR). A, to justify disciplinary action. B, to determine employee development option, reward, sanctions, and other associated actions. C, to provide a basics for promotion. D, to assess the overall performance of the ministry. The right option is option B, and option B is to determine employee development option, rewards, sanctions, and other associated actions. Question number 44. Who is primarily accountable for ensuring the successful implementation of the PMS across all levels of officers? A, the head of the civil service of the Federation. B, the accounting officer of every federal public service institute. C, the director HRM. And D, the permanent secretary. The right option is option B, the accounting officer of every federal public service institute. Is the one responsible for ensuring the successful implementation of PMS across all levels of officers in their various MDAs. Question number 45. What is the first step in the individual performance planning phase of the performance management cycle? A, performance monitoring. B, job description should be available for each job. C, performance appraisal. And D, performance reward. What is the first step in the individual performance planning phase of the performance management cycle? The right option is option B, which says job description (JD) should be available for each job. Question number 46. What is the purpose of challenging but achievable tasks? What is the purpose of challenging but achievable tasks and performance targets derived from the MDA strategic objective? A, to reduce workload. B, to ensure the employee understands the work that needs to be done. C, to justify dismissal. And D, to provide a basis for salary increment. The right option is option B, to ensure the employee understand the work that needs to be done. That's the purpose of challenging but achievable tasks and performance targets that are derived from the ministry strategic objective, is to make sure that the employee understand the work that he needs to be done. Question number 47. Who is responsible for signing off on the performance planning form? A. The officer only. B. The supervision only. The supervisor only. C. Both the officer and the supervisor. And D. The head of the civil service of the federation. Who is the responsible for signing off on the performance planning form? The right option is option C. Both the officer and the supervisor is required to sign before the office leaves, before before the both the officer and the supervisor needs to sign before the performance planning form leaves. They have a space for the officer to sign and also the space for the supervisor of the officer to sign. So both the officer and their supervisor will need to sign. The correct option is C. Question number 48. What is the aim of performance monitoring? A. To identify underperformance staff. B. To provide continuous interactive and transparent feedback. C. To determine promotion eligibility. D. To assign your duty. What is the aim of performance monitoring? The aim of performance monitoring is to provide continuous interactive and transparent feedback. Question number 49 says, who is responsible for the performance review with the employee? A. The head of department. B. The immediate supervisor. C. The accounting officer. And D. The HR director. The right option is option B, which is the what? The immediate supervisor. The immediate supervisor. Question number 49. The right option is option B, the immediate supervisor. Question number 50, which is the last but not the least. What should a performance review and appraiser discuss regarding the appraisee performance? A. Only weaknesses. B. Only strengths. C. Both strengths and weaknesses. And D. Personal matters. The right option is option C. The right option is option C, which says both strengths and what? And weaknesses. The performance review and appraisal discuss the appraisee's performance. They will discuss his strengths, discuss his weaknesses, and then they will see areas in which they can assist him perform much better. So the right option is option C. This is the last but not the least of our questions that will be discussed in this video presentation. I really hope you enjoyed the presentation and you are ready to face the exam once it comes. I want to, on this point, wish you success in your exams and want to say thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe for more of our updated versions once they are published. Thank you so much for watching and bye bye for now.